And hello, and welcome everyone to the comic multiverse, where the worlds of nerd meet. And god damn it, my camera's doing that fucking sepia thing again. What the hell is
I
up with it?
think I think last time when it happened, it just like slowly went back into color because I think by
Yeah,
the end of it, when I was editing it up,
yeah,
you were in color again.
yeah. It just went. God damn, what's the thing? Am I gonna have to take my camera out and blow on it like this is a freaking cartridge or some shit? Again, you can't be a new year without some new bullshit.
No,
Man, it's the first week of 2021, and I'm already exhausted. How about you, Matt?
I'm going pretty well. We've just today came out of lockdown. We had like a quick 3-day lockdown because some people had some coronavirus from goddamn the UK, so they locked everyone down so they could do contact tracing easier.
Well, that's good. And thank you, Michaelius, for subscribing. Always appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah, I saw that you guys are really getting a handle on your cases there in Queensland and Australia. And I'm just sitting here in Canada super jealous because, again, a bunch of people traveled for the holidays when they weren't supposed to, and I'm still in lockdown. And in fact, the lockdown's probably going to keep going. Ford had a whole big thing there that he's going to give all of Ontario a big talking to, and the freaking finance minister here in Canada had to step down because he was traveling during the thing, even though the government told people not to travel. It's like, oh, god fucking damn it. Everyone fucking up again. See, we thought everything was on the mend. It's like, woo, vaccine, we can do whatever we want. No, you can't.
Well, I think in like the next like week or so, we'll actually know like the extent because obviously that comes up to the 2-week period of like after Christmas, which is when we'll know if it's even worse than we thought or better than we thought or something.
Right. Well, hopefully shit works out eventually. And if nothing else,
Yeah.
we had some good comics to keep us busy this week.
We did, and comedy. People try to like take Washington.
Oh yeah, the dumbass rebellion,
Yeah.
the yokel
The
harangues.
gravy seals.
The gravy seals. I read one Vanilla Isis, and I thought that was just the funniest goddamn
That's
thing.
great.
Seriously, the man who tasered his nuts to death is probably like the greatest example of just like you can't write this. Also, I just realized that Tevye keeps spelling Q wrong in the chat. It's coup, C-O-U-P. That's Q like, you wait in the queue, you wait in your line. Or, I missed my cue. But, yeah, that's the kind of week we would have, everyone. And if we can distract you with some good-natured, fun comedy and comic talk, that's most definitely what we are here for. And, and eventually my camera, the fucking color is going to come back one of these days.
Yeah, it'd be like Wizard of Oz. It'll slowly like go into color.
I totally am in fucking Wizard of Oz mode right now. And you were there, and you were there, and everybody was there. Not a ton of comic news this week, everyone, to speak of, but don't worry, because like I said, we'll be talking about High Republic later in the show. We'll be talking about Future State, so there's lots of good stuff coming down the pipeline.
Absolutely.
I guess to start it off there, we're getting a brand new X-Men book, because, it's been almost, 24 hours and we haven't had one of them in a bit.
No, we haven't.
No. This one is called Way of Exit. It's going to be brought to us by Si Spurrier, and this one essentially seeks to finally answer the question that's been on a lot of people's tongues since early on in this Hickman run, and that is, hey, weren't the mutants starting their own religion?
Yeah, they were.
They are. They're starting their own religion, and this looks to be the Nightcrawler-focused book. Of course, Nightcrawler, one of the most popular and beloved X-Men, not actually on any team in the X-Men universe so far, even though there's so many, so he actually gets to star and lead in his own team book now.
Yeah, this is I think this is also tying into like the upcoming Reign of X, which was teased with like a bunch of the stuff they're doing in 2021 with like Sword and
Yeah.
all of that stuff is kind of rolled in with that. Yeah, it seems really cool that Nightcrawler starts to get actual exposure again, since he's really just been in the background of a lot of comics. He's seedily telling people to copulate and
make more mutants.
and whatnot. Yeah,
It's what Jesus wants. Although he might be making himself Mutant Jesus now, or the new Mutant Pope, because that keeps coming a lot in the X-Men books, where it's like, so we've defeated death, right? So all the old morals and forays of all the religions don't apply to us anymore, yeah? as we will have no ultimate punishment and no ultimate reward without death. So what should our whole thing be about? And as we found out in X-Force, Beast is spying on like Jeff Bezos and Tony Stark and the Pope is getting really worried about the X-Men starting their own religion.
They're honing in on our money.
Absolutely. The Church of Mutantology. What do we think the tenets of mutantology is going to be?
Thou shalt fuck on Sex Island, thou shalt fuck on Sex Island, thou shalt fuck on Sex Island.
It's just, that's like 1 through 9, and then, 10 is just like, meh, do whatever.
Yeah, don't kill other mutants.
Yeah, that's, because it's like, the rules of Krakoa are already set up as their own kind of dogmatic religion, so do they just adopt that, or do they, like, create some new things now?
Yeah. Is this like separate from like the Quiet Council and everything? Because they've made that kind of clear how like the Quiet Council are kind of separate from like the X-Men and the people.
Are we going to see, Krakoa really start to fall apart now because we have the X-Men as kind of their own independent entity under Cyclops and Jean, the Church of X, and the state that is the Quiet Council? So will we have like a separation of church and state? Will that become an issue?
Yeah, they do. Again, it probably might, because as Hickman and all the other writers are doing, while the X-Men claim to be better than human and everything, they still fall into many, many human traps and traits.
They're making all of them. Also, too, you gotta wonder where it's like, hey, join the Church of Mutantology. We promise there'll be less scandals than other churches.
Would they be tax exempt?
Oh, shit. Yeah, that's gotta be a thing.
That's gonna be an issue.
Yeah, that's the thing, because there's definitely industry on Krakoa with the Hellfire Trading Company and everything. I could see Sebastian Shaw being like, I don't want my tax dollars going to Church of Mutantology. I will fight to the death on this one. Meet me in the Crucible and we'll fight about it. Because that's also how we settle things here, too, with fights to the death. That's cool, though, that Si Spurrier is going to be writing this. And again, even though I have enough X-Men books and that it's becoming a lot to read right now, I'll check this out, I guess, because it looks pretty cool.
Yeah. Are any actually coming to an end?
No, I don't think so. Nothing is said that it's coming to an end yet.
Because usually when one comes to an end, another one replaces it.
I mean, surely they can't keep selling all at the same rate they are. I could see something like X-Factor or New Mutants dropping off eventually.
Yeah, or Cable or something.
Or Young Cable or something. I could see those potentially dropping off in some variety. But no, they haven't said that they're bringing any to an end or that they're canceling any. Because obviously, like, what was it? Fallen Angels was always meant to be short. I wish, that they would cycle in new ones.
Well, we still got, is it Battle for the Atom or something? Or
Yeah. Or Children of the Atom.
Yeah, that's the one.
That got delayed, but then got brought back.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm actually interested in reading that one, because I think there's some, like, deeper, secret, hidden meaning behind that one.
Yeah, proper connections to Hickman stuff.
Yeah, with the idea being like, hey, they're heroes, but they don't live on Krakoa, and they still fight crime and do all this other stuff, and they're inspired by the other mutants. I'm like, oh, but they were made in labs, weren't they? They're test tube babies. I know it.
They're proto-chimeras.
That's my thought. I'm like, they're going to be proto-chimeras, right? That's the big twist that they're going in on that. But, some more X-Men coming your way. Get hyped, everyone. Get excited.
Yeah.
Now, our next story deals with the twisted web that is the DC Warner Brothers film universe right now, specifically the fate of Batman. As we talked about last week, there's going to be 2 concurrent Batman franchises going on at the same time. There's going to be the Pattinson Batman, or Battinson, if you would prefer, films going on, as well as apparently a new at Batman that may or may not be connected to that new Gotham show. It's hard to tell yet. But now, apparently, out of nowhere, too, Warner Brothers has said, well, actually, Michael Keaton is the only official Batman as we know it right now. So it's like, wait, what?
Yeah. It's weird because he's the only official Batman because for all intents and purposes, Affleck is done with... Like, he's not fucking coming back. I don't know whether you saw those photos of him recently, but he ain't coming back.
No, obviously not. Well, he's still going to have his Flashpoint thing if fucking Flashpoint ever gets made.
Yeah, or if he's even in that still.
There's a lot of rumor and conjecture about that, about cameos that may or may not be happening now.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be? I mean, they have to have him in there because we saw him in we saw him in the artwork with Ezra Miller and everything, and apparently Batman gives him the new costume. So like Affleck has to be in there at least for a minute.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, whether it be like, or maybe it's like an off-screen thing.
Maybe he literally phones in his performance.
He's on the Bat computer.
But I mean, I guess this also confirms that if Michael Keaton is Batman, that means okay. So if Keaton shows up in maybe again also in Flashpoint, as people were thinking, he's got to be the old Bruce Wayne, right? They're doing like a Batman Beyond Flashpoint thing. I mean, I assume that's the way they're going to go with it, but it's. Are they saying that they plan to keep him on in some variety? And again, too, it's like, what fucking shared universe is this now, if anything? It's not connecting to Justice League, because they're not making any sequels to Justice League. They're actually going back and redoing Justice League again. And Wonder Woman was a movie that's going to be getting a threequel, but again, isn't building up to anything.
Yeah, the Snyder stuff isn't canon or anything. So you can't do anything with that. And as they said, it's a cul-de-sac. It's not happening. And I think even Snyder himself said he's done with DC.
Indeed, he did. So what are all of these building to? Is this I guess this is the new Omniverse. We're just making them to make them now with no end game in mind.
I guess so, yeah. They've tried their hand at the shared universe. They couldn't get it to work because they rushed it and decided, I will just go back to making like one and dones. And the ones that are popular will do sequels too.
I mean, that's the way it used to be forever, but I feel like can you even go back and do that now when Marvel has just changed the game so thoroughly and be like, no, you see these movies and it builds up to one big super movie. It's what everything is building to. It's what all of the, moving parts are building up to.
Well, you'd think they would do that, but for all intents and purposes, it's not.
Yeah.
Because it's just even if you look at like the things they've announced and ones that probably won't get made, but like just look at all the slate they've announced, like it's not building towards anything. It's just random like crap.
I mean, I guess too a lot of this is also about honoring contracts and everything, where it's like, look, you got Ezra Miller, you said you were going to make a Flash movie, so you got to make a Flash movie. You got all these other people on tap, so you have to make their movies eventually, or probably pay them something to get them out of their contract.
Yeah, or you could just pull a Ray Fisher and just burn all your bridges straight away.
Man, that Ray Fisher thing is special because never have I seen a man try so hard and so desperately to torpedo his own career before it's ever really started.
Oh man, it's honestly quite admirable.
It is.
The lengths he went.
Yeah, like it gets to a point where it's like, come on, man, you're being a little salty. Come on, man, don't be like that. Come on, you can still have a career here to... Oh, no, wait, he is literally going to burn it all to the ground and piss on the ashes. Okay, he does not care if he ever works in Hollywood ever again. All right, I mean, I guess he was a stage actor before this, and I guess he'll go back to being a stage actor again.
Yeah.
Which is so weird, because again, if you go back even to our most original Justice League reviews, when I'm talking about it, I'm like, well, this didn't work. But when I talk about Fisher, I'm like, oh, guy has a screen presence with a better script. I'm sure he'll actually be like I'm sure his career will survive this, and I'm sure he'll be a star one day in his own right, because I can tell he has a good screen presence. Well, no.
But the weird thing is, it's like he kind of got what he wanted because they have the Snyder Cut coming out.
Yeah.
So like, why is he doing this now? Like,
yeah, it's
like, and leading up to the, like, this is something you do after the film that you're hoping is going to like make you comes out. You don't do it before.
What a weird thing that he just hitched his own, boat 100% to Snyder, the Snyder Cut, the Snyder fan base and everything. Like, they'll take care of me.
Yeah, no, they won't.
Like, is Zack Snyder just that charismatic, or is this guy just, like, so needing of community? Or does, like, he think that he turned in such a good performance in Justice League that people will never see that was supposed to make him a big star, and does he really feel that cheated?
I don't know. I think there's also a little bit of ego there.
Oh, God. Well. And probably a little bit of jealousy, too, that another guy got to be Cyborg in Doom Patrol, and everybody loves really that guy.
Good.
And everybody loves that guy and talks endlessly about how good he is. Because, again, too, I'm sure they promised him the world, Ray Fisher, where it's like, hey, you'll get to be in Justice League, and we're going to make a Cyborg movie last year in 2020. He's just sitting there by the phone. Where's my Cyborg movie? You guys said there was going to be a Cyborg movie.
Yeah, and now he's not even in Flash.
Oh yeah, there was talk there that he had a cameo that's completely gone now.
Well, I think that was like partly also why this whole thing kicked up. He didn't like want a cameo. He wanted more. He wanted to be like supporting main actor, and they're like, no, this isn't your film.
Yeah, dude, you were lucky to get a cameo with all the shit you've been kicking up, and now you're saying you want more.
Yeah.
That's a shame. Shame. Not every day you see a guy totally piss away his career. And again, to contrast and compare this to the whole Star Wars thing, at least that dude had a career, been in other movies, and was an established star. He can get a little combative if he wants, and even still, they might turn around and give him a bunch of money to do something.
Well, even then, you're talking about John Boyega.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, well, even then, he wasn't like coming out and saying, and they were abusive and, and rude, and he was like quite tactful about it.
Very British, like, hey, I was promised more, I wanted to do more, I feel like, I didn't fully realize my potential on this one, didn't have a good experience, but, whatever. And again, still, they could turn around and be like, look, here's a bunch of money, do a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's your weird Batman news, everyone. We'll be sure to keep you abreast of all of this in the future. I'm
sure it will change again.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. Because again, all of this is like, predicated on what's going to do good. So if the Robert Pattinson movie makes $1 billion, and it very well could, I mean, it's Batman, there's a good chance there. They're like, did we say we were going to do multiple Batman? We meant he's the only Batman now and forever. He's movie Batman, which is better than At Batman. At Batman is, experimental in its own weird thing. Someone actually said last week in the comment section when we said, well, look, if they just want to give Batman the Mandalorian treatment, who will his baby Yoda be? Someone said Jaro, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Batman's got to carry around this weird little space octopus in a jar, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty dope, actually. I can get behind that.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I can fully support that. What was the last piece of news this week? Okay, so the last piece of news this week is apparently Oscar Isaac was actually confirmed as Moon Knight now. The rumor actually served to be true, but it feels like this story kind of got buried in everything else that happened this week.
Yeah, well, it was such a weird way to get announced because it was just like the directors that got announced. Directors and cinematographers just saying, oh, cool, I get to work with Oscar Isaac now on Moon Knight, and that was just like their tweet.
Yeah, I'm like, this should be bigger. Why isn't everyone freaking out? You know what I think it is? Because the rumor turned out to be true, just like the rumor of She-Hulk and everyone else who was cast in this ultimately turned out to be true.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pat Senior, as always, for the subscription. Big supporter, booster of our show last year and this year, too.
Yeah,
well,
thank you.
That's cool. Good for him. I'm excited that he gets a second crack at doing a Marvel character now and will probably do much better.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And again, too, I wonder, I'm sure this is a meaty part for any actor, Mark Spector, because you're not just playing one character, you're playing 3 characters.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he jumped at the chance to do this.
I mean, yeah, that's always the really fun thing as an actor, to get to play all the different sides of the character. And again, Moon Knight is one of those things that if they do it right, Marvel could really have their own Batman-esque character for television.
Yeah, I considering like all the buzz that's going on with like WandaVision and everything, it sounds like they're like pulling in no stops with the TV stuff. So yeah. I have to imagine it's probably got, quite the budget, top people on writing and directing.
Full steam ahead. What do you think the first season of Moon Knight's going to be? If you could pitch a first season of that show, what would it be about? Would you start with him already Moon Knight, or would you establish Mark Spector and his time in the army, and then maybe have like episode 1 end with him becoming the Moon Knight and finding the Tomb of Khonshu and everything?
Yeah, something like that. You've got to establish the character and everything, and explain that he's got like multiple personality disorder and all this sort of stuff, and there is something wrong with him. And then obviously you've got to build the lore up with Khonshu and whatnot, Egypt, and because I think Kevin Feige said it was going to be very Indiana Jones-esque,
as it should be.
Yeah, so I imagine we're going to get like adventures in Egypt and whatnot, and Mark's going to find Khonshu, and I think probably by the end of episode 1 he'll be Moon Knight, or like halfway through the season or something.
There's a really good Moon Knight annual from the last run that they did where it was like kind of snapshots of Mark at different points in his life, and so it showed him as like a little boy at temple reading what is it from The Thing during his bar mitzvah, and him like signing up for the army, and it was all like these little snapshots and everything. I'm like, ooh, this would be good for a TV show. This is like the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, they could be pretty cool. Yeah.
That would definitely be something to do with it. The chat saying they hope that it's like weird and trippy. Agreed. I also hope it's weird and trippy.
Oh, I think it will be.
Yeah, and looking at something like WandaVision, I don't think they'll be afraid to do it.
No.
What kind of villains do you think we're going to put in this? Chemdog there is quick to say Bushman. Yeah, Bushman, one of the few Moon Knight's villains people can actually think of.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with his villains.
No, I don't think anyone is. Bushman, again, sounds exactly like what you think a Bushman would be. They should get Bushman and Bushwhacker and Bushmaster, all the Bushes. George Bush Jr.
All the great villains.
All the great Bushes. Yeah, a lot of people are thinking, too, that they might actually get Werewolf by Night in here, too, and maybe that this show will have a bit of a magical bent to it.
Oh, it would have to. It would have to have like some type of magical, supernatural spin to it.
Do you think they'll steal that great idea that Lemire came up with in the comics, and that is that Khonshu isn't just a voice in Mark's head, but like he actually sits there with his like big crazy skull head and everything?
Yeah, big weird bird head creature thing. That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, that he just sits there in a suit and taunts him and everything. Oh, you know what they should do? They should take reference from like Hotline Miami, and there's just like a creepy room that like he just sees Khonshu sitting in, and he talks to him and everything.
Oh, so like the Red Room in like Twin Peaks.
Yeah, like the Red Room. Yeah, they should steal that idea.
Yeah.
There's a good idea. I would totally like that. Where he's just sitting there and fucking with him and everything, and you don't know where it's like, is that real, or is this guy just crazy, or like always have it kind of be in question.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of places they could go with Moon Knight. I'm excited. Man, to think Marvel app television is going to be so exciting.
I know, I'm really excited. It starts this week with WandaVision.
I know.
And then doesn't stop until the end of like Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah. I'm planning to make a whole day of this coming Friday there. I'm gonna try and wake up early, make a nice breakfast, and watch WandaVision. And we're getting more than one episode. Yes, I didn't dream that.
Getting 2 episodes.
Okay, good. I thought I had dreamt that. And I didn't want to not believe that was a thing. It's going to be a big week, too, because Friday I got that, and then Saturday I have another interview primed for the channel and for the show. And in fact, everyone, hey, Matt and I were talking before the show started. Viewership on the podcast seems to be down in general. What do you people want from us? What would you like in 2021? Do you like the interviews? Do you want to be told when there's an interview? Because I always assumed you people didn't like interviews, which is why I always snuck them at the end of an episode. My idea being, hey, if they're listening anyway. Some nice fan in our favorite things of 2020 episode said we should start a new podcast for 2021, and I'm like, dude, the main show has trouble breaking 2K sometimes. I love that you love our content, but are you going to listen to 2 shows? Are you really? Well, are you? Oh, old Gil's losing his shirt over here.
Old Gil.
Old Joel's having a hard time here. And again, I don't want to stop doing this show, even though comic reviews are doing much better right now, because we do get a consistent viewership, and I don't want to stop that.
It's very consistent.
Matt and I were saying, too, do people want to see us actually stream on YouTube instead of Twitch? Because obviously that's, we would be doing it on my channel, and that's where, like, a lot of our base is. So, like, is that something we should do?
Yeah, I was thinking as well, like, what we could do is, like, we could do the show like how it's set up, like, here, but, like, while we're talking about the news, we play, like, video games or something.
I mean, that is a freaking big YouTube thing. Like, I have a hard time playing and talking, but that's very YouTube, isn't it? Like all those freaking Minecraft streamers, they basically just do podcasts.
Yeah.
Is all they really do. It's just they put video game footage over because I guess people are more okay with that. I don't know. We'll throw this to you, everyone, and I'll really start, reading the comment section this week and try and see what's going on. Oh, as Cameron Winkler, longtime fan, is quick to bring up, so basically what you guys did with the Injustice 2 episode, yeah, I guess we did, didn't we?
We did? That was a long time ago.
What else do we got? Here, as I'm actually looking at people and trying to read them. Try multi-stream. Yeah, we might try and multi-stream. Karen Winkler again. What about Gundam models? Yeah, Gundam models is what's going to save this show in 2021. More Gundam models.
It could.
You never know. You're absolutely right. Tevye saying talk about anime. Oh, yes, because people come to a traditional North American comic book show to hear about anime.
Yeah. Nah, usually when we talk about anime, everyone's eyes just glazes over.
I know, because it's not like anime is a super, filled genre on YouTube or anything. Hey, how about we talk about our culinary experiences and everything? Hey, I made a ribeye steak and some microwave corn tonight.
How about we open Pokemon cards?
Oh, man. So, legitimately, I was going to do that, and I had it all ready to go. But a bunch of my footage of, the actual pack openings got corrupted. So you saw my face and reactions, but didn't see any of the cards. I'm like, well, gotta throw this away.
Oh, that's great.
And I spent a bunch
You should have just uploaded it anyway.
Just make it fucking avant-garde.
Clickbaited. I unlocked a holographic Charizard or something, but you can't see it.
Man, I had the best thumbnail already ready to go, and I'm like, ooh, this will be a fun side thing I do on Instagram and Patreon and everything, and I was so ready for that to be a thing, and then it got fucking corrupted because I'm working with a 2-camera setup because you got to film your face, but you also got to film the little pack things they do, and at some point I think my camera battery died, so the footage got corrupted and just ugh. Fuck of a thing. I might do it again, but I won't spend as much as I did.
That's the problem. The cards aren't exactly cheap.
No, especially not at the volume you need to turn them out for these channels there. A lot of those people who do it are already independently wealthy from other shit.
Yeah.
Have Benny levels of energy drinks. Yeah, where's our energy drink sponsorship? You're right. I'm ready to sell out. I'm ready to sell out for anything. We'll get Audible. We'll do all the things. Hey, you hear about Raid Shadow Legends, Matt?
We'll get. I actually saw. I think it was last week. I saw on one of those. It was a comic book channel, and they were shilling those goddamn ancestry kits.
Hey, do you want the
what does this have to do with are people being like, boy, I'm gonna watch some comics, and then boy, I really want to look up my ancestry.
Hey man, do you want the government and the cops to have your genetic material? Because now you can. That's the thing. I actually did want to do that ancestry thing until I found out, oh yeah, the cops actually use that database. And if
it makes sense.
And if you've ever committed a crime, they will totally know, and in fact they do know, and I'm like, that's fucked up. That is some actual Orwellian shit, and not just when people say Orwellian on Twitter when they don't mean it or don't understand it. That actually is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like an Audible sponsor. There's a lot of sponsorships I would like that I don't have, and a lot of the sponsorships we have done on this show, it was usually for stuff and not for money. Some of the nicest sponsorships we ever had were from fans like you, and in fact, that deal is still up here. If you have anything you want to promote, give me $50 and you can promote it. I'm totally down for that. Now, that being said, some nice creators actually did reach out to us, and we're probably going to be doing stuff with them. What is it? Like I said, we're going to have an interview next week, and also Kyle Higgins' people reached out, and they want to give us 2 copies of his new thing, Black Radiant, to actually give away on the channel.
Oh, nice.
So Matt and I'll have to figure out how to run a contest.
Yeah, we'll sort something out.
Tevye again with all the ideas. What about iTunes? Yes, Matt, why don't we become iTunes? What if we just start saying we're iTunes? That'll help. That'll be a good thing. Just go door to door. Hello, I am iTunes. Give me money. The show is also on iTunes, everybody. It's been on iTunes for a while. Yes, Kyle Higgins is a cool guy. I'm happy he wanted to work with us on this one, everything. In fact, he told me about Radiant Black before, before it even got announced, because he actually does listen to our show sometimes.
He does, yes.
Which is very nice and very cool. I don't know what Spatula City is, but I am willing to look into what Spatula City is.
I will shill hard for Spatula City.
Yeah, I don't know what you are, but sure, why not? Rogue Energy, is that a thing? Sure, sounds cool. I'll do it. I'll do anything. And I guess with that, everyone, now that we've talked about the Joel talks about his existential dread in the future of the show portion of the show, we can talk about what we read this week. And this was a big and exciting week, Matt, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Lot was going on here. Where would we like to start?
Well, we're going to talk about Future State, but before we talk about Future State, we have to talk about Death Metal issue 7.
Which I literally forgot that even finished this week. I read it, put up the video, and then it was just gone from my mind.
Because we were already into the new stuff.
Exactly. That's an indictment of like comics and stuff right there, where it's like you can't even fully digest the last event because you're already onto the new thing.
Well, do remember Death Metal did get delayed. So this issue was meant to come out like a couple of weeks ago. It
is. So yeah, Death Metal ended basically exactly how we all thought it was going to end.
Yeah. The Wonder Woman sacrifices herself to save the universe from the hands that perpetua's race.
Yes, which are also the blue hands, so Snyder has added that new little wrinkle to continuity. But I thought the blue hand was Dr. Manhattan. Shut the fuck up.
It was Dr. Manhattan, but people thought it was the hand of creation.
And then we changed it, because we're weird with Watchmen right now, but Tom King can write a Rorschach book, but also go fuck yourself and shut up. Is what that is. The hands do have a cool design, though, and again, they kind of look like Dr. Manhattan, because they have, like, weird symbols on their head.
Yeah, so it's like, is it like Dr. Manhattan? It's nebulous.
Is there a race of Dr. Manhattans? Because, like, we saw...
Are these, like, Manhattans from, like, the multiverse?
Because we know that exists now with Dr. Bat-Hatton and everything, and that's a fucking thing. So is this, like, a Council of Rick situations where, like, a bunch of different Manhattans got together and decided that we're going to be the hands that create universes?
Yeah.
Don't give them that idea.
Holy shit, that's pretty awesome.
Please don't make that the next event, everyone. Please
don't. Come on, Scott Snyder, bring back the Batman Who Laughs to do it.
Your tweet was the best, Matt, saying, man, I sure miss the Batman Who Laughs. Yeah, it's been like 5 whole minutes that we're not thinking about him. Maybe that's why I'm genuinely so positive about Future State, because it's like, oh, cool, I wasn't reminded about the Batman Who Laughs for 5 minutes. That was nice. But, so I thought Wonder Woman's final moment was cool, getting to meet God, essentially, which is also just the DC editorial department.
Yeah.
Yes, Wonder Woman, we've been watching, and you're right, we have made some mistakes, and we're gonna try and do it different, all new and all different, and we're gonna tear down walls, and people are gonna come back, and you're gonna keep your memories. And Wonder Woman's just like, are you fucking selling? Who are you selling this on? Like, I'm standing right in front of you guys. And we want you to help, so you get to ascend to godhood. So she basically got to become a hand, or is she just helping the hands? Or what?
Well, her story in Infinite, at least I think this is going to continue. This is going to continue over into Infinite Frontier, and that's when she becomes the Spectre.
Right. Who
she like fuses with the Spectre.
And I mean, the Spectre has always said to be in the wrath of God. The hands are basically God, so that kind of tracks, doesn't it?
Yeah, and they also they keep alluding to like some lurking threat.
Yeah, it's bigger than the lurking threat we just had.
That we have no idea. Again, it's Scott Snyder doing this. There's an even bigger threat and an even bigger threat.
Hey guys,
I really love that. I really like that's like something you see in like an anime.
It's what you got to do. See, the man knows where it's like, look, the next threat is where my bread gets buttered and where I get hired to do the next thing. So you're damn right. There's a next threat and a one after that. Do you know what the threat is? Nope. But I'll figure it out. It's trees. We cross over with trees. My horror book. It's vampires. Something. Oh, we'll figure it out. And then everyone lives more or less happily ever after. I do like that they, again, as most of this book has been, a bit of a comedic farce. So instead of like Superman giving his big event wrap-up speech that we always get, it's Sergeant Rock paraphrasing a speech that Superman gave.
Yeah, he knows what Superman will say. So it's like, all right, we've all heard this. We know what he's going to say.
Which, again, it's like, man, the story is almost as tired as I am at the end. We've done this. We've all fucking done this. I do appreciate that Snyder did bring it all full circle back to his Justice League run that I felt kind of got lost in the shuffle, where it's like, hey, everyone, the totality. Remember this thing that started everything?
he brought it back to that. He brought it back to like Hawkman
Mm-hmm.
and like the stuff he did in Metal, and yeah, it was great that he remembered all that. I had a feeling he was going to bring that all back, but goddamn, we still didn't know what was in that goddamn box.
Oh my god, I forgot. Oh my god, you're right. What? Fuck.
Is that like the next? He's like, I was secretly building up to something in Infinite Frontier.
You know what makes that really bad? The story is called Death Metal. Death Metal barely played a part.
Yeah, it was the
Lobo tie-in.
Once the Metal, the Lobo thing. Once that like sort of came in, we just kind of like dropped it for like Wonder Woman going and learning that the friends we made along the way were the real universe creating material.
The truth we made along the way, because crises are just lying to us and retcons are lies. We all know what the real truth is, or something. I also appreciate too that like Snyder like kind of tipped his hat to what Johns did in Doomsday Clock, because when she's punching Darkest Night and we see like ripples throughout the universe, one is the ship, the JSA, and the other thing from Doomsday Clock, and I'm like, oh cool, he's nice that he made a small reference.
Yeah,
that's still in here somewhere, we think. Whatever.
Yeah.
And the universe is reborn, and it's slightly different now.
It is. It's reborn, and as Wally West learns, it's like everything is out there now. There's like infinite multiverses that are made up of infinite multiverses, and there's futures that these heroes will start seeing that could possibly happen, which we see in book form later on.
I love that there. It's like, new futures are already taking shape throughout the time stream. Go read Future State now if you want to know what that's. You should really go read it now. It's out on shelves right now.
Yeah, and one of the big things though is that we learned that Earth isn't the center of the multiverse anymore, like it has been all this time. There's actually two new things that are the center, and we know one of them is something called the Elseworld.
Yes, the Alpha Earth and the Elseworld, where I'm like, okay, these are two actually kind of cool ideas, because the Alpha Earth is brand new. What happens on the Alpha Earth? We don't know. We haven't seen it yet. Maybe that'll be the next event. They travel to the Alpha Earth. And the Elseworld is a fun little tongue-in-cheek play on words that, like, when we would do fun, silly bullshit in DC, it was called an Elseworld story. Now we have an Earth that literally all the fun, silly bullshit lives on, like Sergeant Rock.
Yeah, I have to wonder if like maybe like this is them building up, because they left that recent Tales of the Dark Multiverse, the one with Duke, like open-ended with him being a hero and everything. I wonder if that's like tied into that, because that was Scott Snyder as well.
It is. They also very clearly said, yo, Dark Multiverse still exists and is still under there, and New Genesis and Apocalypse also exist, but we don't know where Darkseid is. Yeah,
Darkseid is lost.
Thank you, Mindful. I'm mindful too, and I appreciate you for following. Which, that's got to be a big thing. The return of Darkseid. I don't even know what Darkseid was doing in that Justice League Odyssey book. Was he doing anything interesting?
I fell off that after the first volume.
I think everyone did.
I know they made a big deal about him coming back, but that Odyssey book just kind of stuck around. But I don't know anyone that was reading it.
I know some people were. I'm like, that sounds interesting, but not enough to keep me invested.
Well, it never really tied, but you would think something like that, like Darkseid's coming back with the Lost Galaxy, all this stuff would tie back into it, but it never did. And that spun out of the stuff Scott Snyder did.
Yep. I got nothing.
Yeah.
I think the worst thing about death metal that you can say, and by and large, death metal is fine. It went on for too long. It was a little tedious in places. But I think the thing that it really kind of dropped the ball on is that for all their talk about, this is new and different and a brand new approach to the universes and to continuity and to crises and everything, it's like, no, it isn't.
Well, everything's now canon.
Yeah,
everything's canon.
You just put a new, fresh coat of paint on what we basically had anyway. That's all it is. Please don't tap yourself on the back because I guess the problem with this is like Snyder can talk all he wants and have Barbatos give interesting speeches about how, like, crises come apart because, people lose faith in their heroes, and people lose faith in their heroes because of bad writing, and da-da-da-da-da, and people want to feel that it all matters. In fact, Sergeant Rock literally says that at the end, where it's like, because all stories matter.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, cool. I'm glad you spent all this time telling me something I already knew. Sweet.
Well, you say that like you and I knew that, but like,
true.
Going by my comments and everything on every issue, not a lot of people seem to know that.
Fair enough.
Shocking, and it's shocking as well.
You know what? I guess if nothing else, it lets us know that Snyder is one of us, one of the really in comic book people who make shows and everything. It's like, because it all matters, man. It's all out there somewhere. It all matters to somebody. And I'm like, yeah, man, that's how I've always felt. But yeah, you're right. I guess a lot of people don't feel that way. And so Snyder needed to make a thinly veiled story to tell people that. I guess. Fair enough. Fair dues.
Well, even then, like, his story, like, I wouldn't say it's a failure on his part, but like, even then, people still don't understand it.
No, not at all.
I don't know how much more clear they can make it.
I can lead a horse to crisis water, but I can't make it drink.
Anti-crisis energy.
Oh. Anti-crisis water. I think too, even by the end, he realized how tired people were getting of the Batman who laughs. So it's like, don't worry, I threw him into like the fucking heat death of the universe.
Yeah, he ain't coming back anytime soon.
Also, they found like a weird moment in there too. It's like, hey, let's address heroes in crisis while we're here by having Zombie Roy help Flash. Okay.
I love that.
That felt so out of left field, and like, look, well, we're fixing things anyway. I guess we better fix this too while we're at it.
They were also they also mentioned it's not tied into Heroes in Crisis, but it might as well be, where they had Hawkwoman mentioned like people who died before like the death metal are coming back and everything. Yeah. I'm like, oh, they've just undone like all of Heroes in Crisis.
Yeah, hey, when we brutalized and murdered all those side characters for no reason because Tom King is fucking weird and thought it would be interesting? Well, guess what? They're all back now. That's cool. Hopefully that extends to like dead villains too, and people who they probably.
I have to imagine it will.
I mean, they've basically given themselves a blank check now. That if someone comes back, and it's like, weren't they dead? No, they weren't.
Yeah, it's for any writer who wants to use like villains that like, oh, that guy died in this issue. No, he didn't. The universe restarted and everything's canon now.
Hey, Cluemaster's back, Stephanie. Your dad's back to life. No, actually back to life, not back to life because Bendis forgot he was dead. Yeah, is Alfred back again? Good question, actually. I mean, he could be.
Yeah. Well, again, like the Tynan stuff, there is a guy in there that looks kind of like Alfred. I don't think it is, but like...
Yeah.
Never know.
I think there's also a rumor, too, that like Tynan wants to tell the story of Alfred's return, not just to have him get like magic back to life.
Yeah.
Yeah, does Roy Harper just get to be alive now? I hope we just pick up a new Green Arrow book and he's like, sup, dog, I'm alive now.
Yeah, I guess. I imagine, like, some of these biggie characters like Roy, they'll make a big deal about being back alive.
Yeah.
But some will just, like, appear in a book.
Yeah, I guess.
So I'm alive now.
Yeah, I guess we'll wait and see. Weren't you dead? I got better. Because death is a cold in comic books. You just get better. All right, what else do we want to talk about then? Should I talk about like the one big Marvel book I had this week?
Yeah, sure.
So Amazing Spider-Man 56, the what is it? The kind of epilogue to Last Remains.
Yeah. I like just caught up on it because I went back and redid all my reviews in my new format, so it's a bit more consistent. But yeah, I caught up to this and it's pretty good.
Yeah,
there's
a lot of really interesting stuff going on here. Kindred is defeated / captured by a brand new partnership of Norman Osborn and the Kingpin, which makes a ton of sense because Kingpin was one of the first people Kindred threatened to say stay away from Spider-Man because I want to kill him.
Yeah, like way back in like issue like 5 or something, like way back,
super early on, which I love that Kingpin holds a grudge, and I love he extra holds a grudge because Kindred talked about Vanessa in a unflattering way.
Yeah,
so Kindred's just been on his shit list this whole time now. We had assumed that Norman had returned to being evil because he attacked everyone as the Green Goblin, and gave an excellent villainous speech when he's like, why are you fucking with me, Dad? Why are you fucking with my well-laid plans to kill Spider-Man? He's like, because they're mine. They've always been mine, you impudent
These
child.
are my people.
These are mine.
Yours.
Which I'm like, wow, what a great villain speech, and also what a perfect thing for Osborn to say.
Yeah.
Only to find out here, oh wait, turns out he was actually only pretending to go crazy again, and he had actually, worked out another deal with Mary Jane behind the Kingpin's back, so Kindred wouldn't be killed, only captured.
Yeah, captured by Polka Dot Man.
Wow.
Polka Dot Man, who they've like captured and are like, the Spot. That's right, the Spot, who they've like imprisoned in like this weird thing that like uses his abilities to cover everything in darkness.
In Dark Force energy, which Kingpin got the idea of because of Secret Empire when he was trapped in Manhattan. And I'm like, oh, Nick Spencer, you saucy boy, you, finding a good reason to call back to this. I appreciate the fuck out of that.
Everything's coming together.
It only took 50 odd issues, but it's all coming together. And we basically have good guy Norman now desperately trying to help his son and make up for his past sins. And in fact, hey, speaking of sins, when Sin Eater was defeated, all those sins went back to their original owners and made them evil again, except for Norman. And the idea is that just because the sins haven't found him now doesn't mean they're not.
I would like when I saw that, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Are they going to do like what they did in like the Raimi films? How it's like the Goblin was like a different person. You know how he sees himself in the mirror, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Is the sin gonna because it was so bad and strong? Is it gonna manifest into like the Goblin, and it's gonna be a separate person to Norman?
Well, we did set up early on in the Spencer run when Peter and Spider-Man got split up.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be interesting? Norman sticks around and he's a good normal guy now, but the Goblin is still out there as its own separate entity. Or if the Goblin's sin went into someone else.
Yeah.
Like, hey, if it jumps into, Robbie, his roommate. Or, again, goes into Boomerang, his friend.
Oh, yes.
Goes into Mary Jane.
Yeah, well, it could. I mean, they've been hinting at, like, stuff where, like, Mary Jane is like connected to the Kindred because of Harry, like he's using her and everything, and I could see it.
There's a lot of interesting ways they could go. Then this also means Spider-Man finds himself in an interesting position, and that is they defeated Kindred, but they still don't know what he wants, and that means if they want to work through this, they're going to have to work together to dig through what they did to make him so angry, which obviously we as the reader know. One more day, and the deal with the devil, and Kindred's like, no, I'm not going to tell you because I want you to find it out on your own, because when you do, I know it's gonna fucking kill you the same way it killed me.
But see, the thing is, as Mary Jane says, like, she doesn't think it will because Peter doesn't remember any of that because of the whole thing with one more day. So like, would it though?
I don't know. It also begs the question, how much do you remember, Mary Jane?
Yeah. Or how much? Yeah. Is it like a case of she's starting to remember?
And
like,
also
things.
And also, does the one moment in time retcon still count? Because I don't think it does.
No. Like,
Spencer is definitely writing this like the one moment in time retcon of like, oh well, they just made everyone forget because like Mr. Fantastic and Doctor Strange got together and did bullshit, because they're definitely acting like it's not, and that's fine, because I hated the retcon almost as much as I hated the deal with the devil. Because it's like, no, you're making it worse. You're putting a Band-Aid on it. Well, not fixing the main problem. Man, I think it's so cool that all this time later we can finally have like a story addressing One More Day.
It's pretty, and not only that, like a story that like, it's not just like I think with any other writer they would have just done like an arc. This is like a saga.
Yeah, like
this is 50 plus issues, and it's still going, and it's all like you got to read it all.
Absolutely,
it's all like matters and everything, and it's so good.
And I think that's a problem with a lot of people. A lot of people have when reading this, where they're like, "No, I want my answers now. I want my feel good.
They want it in the first issue.
Yeah, I want my conclusion to it now." Where Spencer's like, "No, I am taking you on a ride with this. This is my arc. This isn't what is it? This isn't just going to be one story. This will be my run."
Yeah, and what a run it's been.
Yeah, and what is it? We're going to be getting a few more stories in there. Martin Lee came back, and he stumbled into Feast, so it looks like we're going to have a Aunt May and Mr. Sinister type story, because he too is also running from his sin.
Yeah, or he's running from it, or he's already been taken by it. Yeah, we don't really know.
Yeah, which could go either way with it. Which, wouldn't it be funny if they create a new Mr. Negative? If maybe this is the way they show where it's like, no, the sin can actually go into someone else.
Someone else, yeah. Oh, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, all the different sins from all the villains go into other people.
And give them their powers, because obviously you don't just take on the sins, you take her. Aunt May becomes Aunt Negative. That would be a fun-ass thing to draw, Aunt Negative.
Would that cure her of her cancer?
Very good question, because again, does Nick Spencer remember that she was sick and had cancer?
Yeah, he has to have known. Know.
I mean, this guy, come on, he's a freaking encyclopedia for continuity, and he had whole scenes that are like, look what I remember that you forgot. But yeah, so Spider-Man continues to be cool. And actually looks like it's going to continue to be cool. I know there's a couple arcs there and a couple runs where it's just like, this is, I'm not as interested in this as I was, but this has really relit my interest in this book, and I don't think I'm the only one.
Yeah, no, there was like two arcs there where like it almost looked like he'd forgotten about like the Kindred stuff. Like he was telling stories about like that giant monster and like the Lifeline tablet and all that sort of stuff. And then just like he just snapped his fingers and went back into that story, and it's been there ever since. Yeah,
absolutely. Oh yeah, Carly Cooper and Overdrive looks like they might become a couple now. That's pretty interesting.
Yep.
Especially now that we know that Carly Cooper is not Kindred.
Yeah, I hope Overdrive sticks around. I like him.
Yeah, he's a fun side character. He really is. And also not that evil, so to see him kind of become like an ally to Spider-Man, and also, hey, a former, superior foe of Spider-Man, so to even see him and Boomerang form back up again.
Yeah.
Would be fairly fun and fairly interesting. Alright, what else did you want to talk about, Matt?
I had Eternals issue 1.
Okay, I forgot to pick this one up this week. How is it? I know there's been a lot of talk about the Eternals and a lot of scuttlebutt with the new movie.
It's pretty fucking cool.
Is it?
It's pretty cool. So this issue, we don't get all the Eternals in this issue. We just get we get a couple, but it mainly focuses on Icarus and Sprite.
Right.
Sprite, who's had a redesign to be more like the movie, and they actually play it into how they're reborn, how when a Eternal is reborn, they can choose like they want to change their form or anything, and none of them really do because they're kind of happy. But Sprite wanted to change after it's almost like killing everyone.
So it's like a Doctor Who regeneration.
Yeah. We learned that Icarus, because he was the last to die at the start of that Avengers run when they were killed by the Dark Celestials. Because he was the last to die, he's the last to be resurrected. So all the other Eternals are out in the world and everything, and he gets told by Xerdas, the Eternal Prime, to wake up Sprite, since she's like kind of free after getting bored and trying to kill everyone, trying to ruin the machine and whatnot.
Of course.
So he frees her, and she immediately like teleports to Earth because she's going off her last backup, and so much has happened in that time, so she wants to like catch up.
Right.
So she goes to Earth and says, "Oh wow, all these silly apes are now like got these huge buildings and everything now. This is pretty awesome." They run into Iron Man. Iron Man's not too shocked that they're alive, but they quickly ditch Iron Man because the Deviant's on the loose. A Deviant that looks like a Mind Flayer.
I saw that. Oh yeah, I saw that page actually, and yes, they do look like mind flayers.
And it literally does what a mind flayer does. It feeds off the brains of humans to become immortal.
Gotta eat them. Well, again, hey, the guy writing this, Kieran Gillen, also wrote Die, which is a Dungeons and Dragons inspired book. So clearly that bled in.
Yeah. They fight it and like end it and everything, and they get called to Olympia because, as we find out, Xerdas has been killed. His skull was crushed from someone's hands, and Droog and like all the other Eternals that are there immediately think it was Sprite because Xerdas was the one who killed Sprite originally, but she's a little girl now. She couldn't possibly do that.
Right.
So Icarus wants to go and find out who did it, because they can track who did it through the Eternal Portal Network. They can, because they have their own portal network, much like Krakoa, and much like Krakoa, only an Eternal can use the portal network.
Oh, I'm sure this one will
So
come
it's
up
like,
at some point.
obviously it's an Eternal who did this. So they track the portal to their old capital city of Titanos. I think I'm saying that right. Which is just a graveyard now because Kronos blew it up. They try and find out who it is, and they find out who did it. And it was fucking Thanos.
Of course it was Thanos, I was going to say, because he's already on the cover of issue 2. And hey,
Yeah.
to their credit, they actually kept Thanos dead for like 4 years. Good for them.
Yeah, I'm surprised he came back now, but like not surprised he came back in an Eternals book, because that's like really the only place you could really do him, because of his connections with the Eternals and whatnot.
Makes a lot of sense, and also too, like, hey, we're building this up now in case we want to do this for the movies.
Yeah.
In case we want to backdoor that one.
He has to be in Eternals. He has to be like a young Thanos in Eternals.
Or even just a mention.
Yeah.
Well, I might have to pick this one up now. I know the art looks really nice on it.
Oh, Assad Rubik.
It's a very pretty book. Yeah, they're not putting any slouches on Eternals. They're putting, friggin' Gillen, fresh off Die. They're putting Assad Ribic on there. They're not fucking around with it.
Yeah, I hope they continue in the next couple of issues, because obviously we're going to get like Thanos fighting Icarus next issue maybe. But I hope they continue the trend of like doing it like just a couple of Eternals each issue until they've got the whole team, and then they go to the whole team. This is great because it's like more time to be with these characters who are kind of new but also not new, so they kind of have to sort of learn the world again and whatnot. We kind of follow along on their journey, and there's also like the added caveat now is that they don't have a purpose, because all the Celestials are dead now, and they learnt that the Celestials never gave a shit about them.
Oh, that's fun. So not only are they people out of time, but also they've basically lost their god and have to find a new reason to live.
And Icarus is the one who's like really struggling with that, because he's like the Superman. He's like the vigilant protector, but he has no one to protect now. So like he's like, what do I do with my hands?
So basically we have a completely clean slate now for the new creative team to do whatever they want with, and probably do something that will be more in line with the movie. All right, I can dig it. Glowing review there. Keeping up with the Marvel front before we go all future state there. I had Venom this week, Venom 32, another tie into King in Black.
I haven't read this one yet.
It's very fun. I very much didn't like issue 31 because it was Kate's just telling us everything we already knew about Venom if you were reading.
In 32 seconds.
In 32 seconds as he fell to his death. And I'm like, God damn it, this issue just exists for people who are picking it up now as part of King in Black, and I felt very underserved. To his credit, though, oh boy, did he actually build on that really good for issue 32.
Yeah?
Yeah, boy did he ever. So, again, if you read King in Black 2, Eddie died. Eddie flatlined, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, we're still following Eddie now into what is basically the symbiote answer to the afterlife.
Ooh, interesting.
And the idea is that he hooks back up with Rex Strickland, the guy who recruited him at the very beginning of this series.
No, fitting, because he was the narrator of was it King in Black issue 2?
Yep. He was the narrator, and basically, Eddie Sensei and everything, and who died before him. And he says basically, when symbiote users die, we become codexes. So you wake up not in heaven or hell. You're in the hive. You're in the symbiote hive mind now. But because we had symbiotes grafted to us for as long as we did, we can actually move around. So it's basically like Tron, but for symbiotes.
Oh, nice.
So we're like renegade pieces of code here inside the hive. And Eddie theorizes, and they do a great job of showing their work on this one and bringing a ton of like unrelated stories that make a ton of sense, where he's like, look, I've almost died plenty of times before, but I always had my symbiote and I was able to get back. I bet if I can get my symbiote back, I can essentially be reborn, because as we saw in Venom The End, which wasn't even written by Cates, but it was a story in this run, the symbiote will be so powerful at points that it can actually recreate physical matter. It's how I regrew my arm and everything, so I can basically reborn myself and put the codex in there.
Nice.
And Rex is like, that plan is so fucking stupid it might just work. The only problem is that Null has Eddie's symbiote, so they're literally going to have to go and steal it back from him in the hive.
Oh, nice.
And they're like, well, fuck, we're not going to be able to do this with just the two of us. And Rex is like, oh, don't worry, we're not the only two people in the hive who can move around. In fact, let me introduce you to the man I wanted to be Venom in the first place, Flash Thompson, everybody.
Yeah.
And he literally does the best thing. He's like, Agent Anti-Venom reporting for duty, sir. So they're literally forming the Venom Dirty Dozen, and they're going to go and steal his symbiote back.
Oh, awesome.
And I'm like, this is really fucking cool, actually. And I'm also thinking, like, ooh, who's another dead symbiote user who could show up here?
You think they'll bring back, like, Cletus Cassidy?
Well, we know Carnage is going to be in a Gwenpool tie-in, so maybe.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be shocked. I'm sure there's lots of formerly dead Venoms they could do. Maybe Lee, whatever the fuck his name is, that shitty Venom.
Or they could also even do, like, ones that were, like, temporarily Venom for, like an issue.
Ooh, his wife might be there.
Yeah, Annie.
Yeah,
the proper Annie.
Yeah, the proper Annie might be there. Yeah, all the different toxins, whoever they were, they could be there. Yeah, there could be a lot of former people in there, people who have died.
Yeah, you have to wonder as well, like, because Noel's doing this plan, like, which other, like, Toxin, Wraith, Scream, all them, like, are they, like complicit with Noel, or is it, like, a control thing with him?
True enough, you don't know.
Because they could just get all the villains together and be like, well, take down this villain.
I like that. Cameron says it the best. Donny Cates makes stupid concepts and somehow has them be badass. It's true.
It is, yeah.
Like, you look at so many of his things on paper, it's like, that's the dumbest thing ever, and then you read it and, like, this is fucking great.
Yeah, it's the same with, like, his Thor stuff, where it's like, oh, yeah, Thor's gonna, like, eventually there's gonna be something where, like, Thanos is wielding the Infinity Gauntlet, and, like Mjolnir with all the Infinity Stones in it. You, like, say that out loud, and it's like, that sounds so fucking stupid. But you see it on the page, and, like, that's so fucking awesome.
Same with, I'm gonna bring Donald Blake back in 2020.
Yeah.
It's like, ugh, no one likes Donald Blake. He's a stupid baggage of continuity. No one's ever written anything good about Donald Blake in, like, 4 decades. What can you possibly do? I'm making him a villain and actually quite interesting and compelling. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm making him a crazy head Charles Manson villain.
Love it. Hey, in fact, let's talk about Thor, because I read that this week, too, and it was great.
It was.
It's really, really good. Again, Cates just doesn't have him be this crazy Manson villain. He actually puts some layers in him when we discover that despite seeing through Thor's eyes for a lot of events, he actually doesn't have a full picture of everything, so he doesn't even know that Jane was Thor for a while.
Yeah, he's only got, like, little snapshots, so he's unaware that, like he's having dinner with her and everything, and he's, like, unaware that, like, this woman is, like, kind of a badass, and just thinks of her as, like, the Jane Foster he knew.
Yeah. And to even make it a little deeper, to be like, you know, I loved Jane Foster, and I knew she loved me, not Thor, but me, Donald Blake.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's actually really heartbreaking. That's actually really fun.
Yeah.
And then we bring in Frog Thor, because Frog Thor is also on Blake's hit list.
Yep.
But Frog Thor, like, totally fucking holds his own. He's basically becoming Rambo or the Predator or something, where it's like, you're running. I'm not running, I'm hunting. And you're
there's a great shot of, I think it's Blake. I think it's when he's, like, when they're at dinner, and I want to say if it's intentional or not, but he's like drinking his drink, and, like, the steam, and he looks a little bit like Gore.
Well, he's got the dragon eyes because he has the soul of the dragon in him, because he killed Yorgamon and took his power. So it's like literally he's got the eye of the dragon, and I'm like, oh, that is so fucking good. I agree. Love that so much. I also think, too, in my comment section, I found the one and only Red Norville fan who was mad that they killed Red Norville. I'm like, Red Norville hasn't been relevant in, like, 30 years.
He's waited for that long. It's like, finally, he's in this issue. Oh, he died.
Coming back. No one even remembered Red Norville until right now. Like, literally, you see him in a book, and I'm like, oh, yeah, he was that camera guy. Yeah, he was Thor for, like, a minute. That was a thing. Okay. And again, interesting, too, because he had red hair, and Thor from, like, Norse mythology is traditionally shown to be a redhead, so that's fun. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Who is Red Norville? Absolutely, Tevye. Who is Red Norville? A deep, deep Thor cut is what he is. All right, so I guess with that out of the way, we can talk about Future State. And I think we read all the same Future State books. I actually tried to go back and make sure we read them all so we could talk about them.
Yeah.
Where would you like to start?
Well, let's start with Batman. That was like the big one.
Yes, absolutely. The next Batman.
Yeah, who's barely in the issue.
He's barely in the issue because we got to set up the city and we got to set up everything that's going on. It's funny, too. Did you get the same feeling I did, Matt, where clearly who is the next Batman was supposed to be a mystery that DC spoiled?
Yes. Because, this issue, like, posits the fact that, it's Luke. Oh,
yes.
It's not Tim. It's not Tim. It can't be Tim because Tim's like the family fuck up.
Yeah, he's a screw up. Yeah, and his family doesn't like him because they literally smash cut from Batman out at night fighting crime to Luke waking up and being like, "Oh, I know it's so hard out there being Batman." I'm like, okay, so clearly they wanted us to think it was Luke because everyone already thought it was Luke, and the twist was going to be actually it's Timothy or Jace. Now he changed his name, which makes me think he wanted to be Jace because there's already Tim Drake.
Yeah. Well, again, maybe it's like one of those things where it's like it was Luke, and then something's going to happen to him, and then Tim picks up the mantle, and like this is his like redemption. Is like I'm not going to be a fuck up anymore.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, there's still some places they could go with that. You're absolutely right. They definitely do a good job, Ridley with his socio-political commentary about being a hero in New Gotham, and that is that Batman is at even more risk now from the cops than he is the criminals, because the magistrate that has taken over the city, they are strict anti-maskers, and if they see any superhero or any cape, they shoot on sight, shoot to kill.
Not only that, if they see anyone wearing a mask, they'll shoot them, including small children. We are introduced to the Bane Lentos gang, where it's like, oh, come on, they should have been the Bane Ditos. Come on. So obvious. Just a little bit off.
Just a little bit off. They should have been the Bane Ditos, who are recruiting two poor kids from the inner city, and they got to get blooded into the gang by doing a drive-by.
Yeah. I love those scenes just because of like what the colorist did, which is all the scenes with the Bane leaders are like bathed in like a soft green light, like Venom.
Yeah, it's a very
nice. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Nick Darrington, cool. Man, he's going to be the next great superstar. He got so much praise for his Bendis Batman book, and now the fact that he gets to draw this, he draws some pretty pictures.
He does. He really does.
Winkler in the chat says confirmed Gotham City is anti-mask. I bet you that they had no idea when they were writing this, because they had written this a long time ago. This story, it was supposed to come out sooner, and then the pandemic stopped it. I bet you they did not think all the talk about anti-mask and pro-mask in this book was ever going to end up like touching a nerve the way it does here, because they had clearly written it before, and now the language makes it sound like they're writing it for now when they're not.
Yeah, it's like one of those cases where it's like things just fall together. Fall together. They
really do. And what we have here is basically Batman with a super interesting moral conundrum, because he stops the drive-by, he beats up the gangsters, but what is he going to do with these two kids? If he leaves them on the street, the murder cops are going to shoot them, and he doesn't think that's a good idea, so he's like, fuck, I have to actually save these kids from the police, because that's what a good hero would do. And he ultimately decides to, hand them over to social services. And I'm like, oh, I like that. A Batman who is dealing with problems that Bruce never had to deal with, because his thing was like, oh, punch bad guys, then pass them off to the broken social service thing there. It's like, oh, cops and Arkham and everything else, they'll handle it. My hands are clean. This is a Batman who thinks very differently, because, again, he's from a different, background. He's lived a different life, and as such, he thinks about these things that Bruce probably wouldn't have thought of.
Yeah, it was like the guy at the start. The guy at the start is like a notorious rapist, which is really strange to see in a comic. You never usually see that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that they just out and say that.
Yeah, and like Batman saves, quote unquote, him because he's wearing a mask, and Batman rips it off of him, saying, "I'm saving your life because you'll be fucking murdered if that happens," and just hands him off to the cops because he knows the cops will take him in because they will get a promotion. So that guy's relatively safe now.
Yeah, it's a very interesting take on the morality of Gotham City, and how like a city that was already pretty fucked up can become even more fucked up.
Yeah, and that continues it as well into the backup stories,
which are really good.
Oh, excellent.
The Arkham Knights one, I especially really loved, because I'm like, this is such a cool premise.
Not only that, it pays off like the stuff Tomasi did in his detective, or like
In a big
multiple
way.
things he did.
Yeah,
like the Harvey Dent stuff, the Astrid Arkham stuff.
Oh yeah, and which is funny because it's not written by Tomasi.
No, it didn't need to be.
No, it didn't need to be. So yeah, we're reintroduced to Astrid Arkham, the Arkham Knight, who has put together an all-star team of morally gray Arkham inmates, and they're fighting back against the Magistrate, all like Robin Hood style. They're working out of Wayne Manor, and the best part, I'm sure you'll agree, is that she's actually working with them as a psychiatrist to try and help them and make them healthy.
This is like a team, but it's like a support group, like a therapy group that like go out and like hunt down peacekeepers and stuff.
That she's like actually making them better people, and I'm like, oh, this is another brilliant indictment of Bruce, who was more than okay beating up mentally ill villains at night and then throwing them back into Arkham Hospital. That never worked ever.
No, yeah, this is Astrid Arkham taking back like her family's name and like making it work for once.
Which makes so much sense for her, and she's like, yeah, I grew up in the halls of Arkham Asylum as a little girl. These people are my friends and family. I don't see them as monsters. I want to actually help them.
Yeah, I also like that there's like a religious overtone where they're like Crusader knights fighting for the sun sort of thing, but it's not like, but then it's also tied in with like modern like mental health medicine and stuff, and her like wanting to help. It's a strange combination that shouldn't work.
It really is,
but it does.
It's super cool. Like, I'm sure we'll be saying this a lot over the next 2 months, but if any book gets a spin-off, I really hope Arkham Knights becomes a book, because I would fucking read the shit out of this.
Yeah, it's so cool.
You know what, actually, someone on Instagram said this to me, that if Arkham Knights does get a book, they should fight the Victims Syndicate.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're so perfect, where it's like, we are normal people who got hurt by super crime and superheroes, and now we're mad at the world, versus we were formerly super criminals who are now trying to do good and make peace. How do we fight a group of actual victims who have suffered from, what we've done? This is the ultimate, like, alcoholics 12-step, like, you have to go make amends.
Yeah, and as well as, like, that's something you could, like, over the course of a series, you could have these characters get better and then leave the team and be replaced with other people that they have to rehab.
Oh, like a reverse Suicide Squad where people actually get better.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, this is so much better than like Sanctuary.
Yeah, for real. And the fact too that she has people like Zsasz on the team, like Zsasz is a fucking serial killer. He's not like Two-Face or Clayface where they can be saved. And Astrid's like, no, I want to try and save everybody, even the people who you don't think can be saved.
Zsasz, and you got Anarchy,
another morally gray Batman villain.
Dr. Phosphorus, who as well isn't really a villain because he's like suffering.
Yeah,
and like she's trying to like help him and everything, but she can't because like his serum's not working and he wants to die and everything. It's great.
He's very Frankenstein. I didn't want to be this way, but my pain is driving me crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is so much good stuff in that Arkham Knight book. And the Outsiders one is fun, too. It's just basically a continuation to what Hill was doing anyway.
Yeah, I like that better than Hill stuff. Like, it's like a much more interesting, like, team dynamic, because you got Duke, who's, like, still the Signal, and he's like a coyote, like, ferrying people out of the city and
in a sweet-ass muscle car.
Yeah, he's got, like, a muscle car. The art is very similar to, like, Sean Murphy's stuff in The White Knight. Katana is like a cyberpunk samurai.
She has a jetpack. Apparently that's all you needed to where it's like, how do we make Katana a more interesting character? Jetpack? Fuck yeah. Just put it on anyway. They also try and do a thing here where it's like, the Magistrate, cuts deals with people and everything. So she has to fight Caliber, who I had to look this up, was a character who was hired by Bruce to work with the Outsiders during the Hill run, but now he's working with the Magistrate because they're offering him more money and cybernetic implants, and I'm like, okay, so good guys can be villains in this world just as villains can be heroes.
Yeah, he's working for the bad guys, and he ends up getting defeated by Black Lightning, who is literally Black Lightning.
He is all lightning now, literally giving new meaning to his catchphrase, when justice like lightning should appear. Which I'm like, man, that's cool. How have they never done that before? Jefferson Pierce, creature of pure lightning.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how the hell he became like that, because there's like hints of like dark magic and whatnot.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting places they could go with that one. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, what's another one we want to talk about then? I guess we'll talk about Superman next. We talked about Batman.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this issue.
Superman of Metropolis. I think in this one, more so than the Batman one that took it like really slow and really built the world, I think a common like little problem that I would say for some of these future state books is they really throw you in the deep end on some of these stories, and they're like, okay, swim. And especially in this one where it's like, okay, it's the future. Metropolis is a cyberpunk city now.
Yeah, Superman, Clark Kent he's not allowed on Earth anymore, so his son is now Superman. I guess it kind of fits the story, because in the story, like, Jonathan is like thrown into this role, and we're thrown into the story.
You are John, basically.
Yeah, and we see he's not doing very well, because he's been given this awesome weight, and he can't live up to. He's been having people telling him that he can't be this, he can't do this.
Mm-hmm. Still young.
And it all comes to a head when he fights Brain Cells, which is like the upgraded Brainiac.
It's literally a giant AI algorithm that him and Supergirl put together to help him be a better hero and fight crime. And all I could think to myself was like, John, did you not see Westworld season 3? Did no one in your family tell you about OMAC or Brother Eye or any of these other superhero AIs that went evil? Man, the DC equivalent of the public school system just fucked you over real bad, kid.
Yeah, I like its design as well. All these mouths and everything.
It's very creepy.
And John thinks, because he's got the military, and then he's got the Zealots, which are left over from Trojan, who was this guy that came in and like fucked everyone up with cybernetic implants.
It's a guy and a company, and I'm like, Trojan, is that like your own little dig at Amazon?
he like fucked it all up, and John needed some time to sort some stuff out, so he thought bottling the city of Metropolis would do that,
because it was going to be a massacre between the Zealots and the military. And the military didn't want to pacify the Zealots. The military just wanted to steal brain cells for itself. So John, making a knee-jerk reaction, is like, well, the only way I can do the right thing is to do arguably the wrong thing, and I gotta bottle the city. I gotta bottle the city of Metropolis, cut the Zealots off, and hopefully, stop the violence there. And thank you, Doctor Strange. The Doctor Strange Matt is following us now. From my sanctum sanctorum, I must watch the comic multiverse. Wong, get in here, get in here. They're talking about me on the computer box. Yeah, my Doctor Strange is just Dr. Orpheus from Venture Brothers.
It's the same thing, yeah.
Or as Louise in the chat saying, it could be an Amazon reference, or maybe Trojan Condoms just becomes a way bigger, more powerful company in the future.
Oh my god, they've bought Amazon.
I didn't see it coming, but good for them. They just wanted it more.
They made so much money during the pandemic.
Yeah, really, because people had nothing else to do. But yeah, so we see Supergirl show up here, and she's basically kind of, reading John the Riot Act in a way, which makes sense because, like, I know a thing or two about people bottling cities, and I don't like it.
Yeah, it's very triggering.
To me, like, really, like, fuck, dude.
He takes it to the new Fortress of Solitude,
which is back in the Arctic.
Yeah. Well, that got actually set up in Endless Winter.
Oh, really?
Endless Winter.
Oh, did they move it back?
It got back. Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
So it goes back. The military show up. Supergirl shows up. Supergirl gets super violent, and we learn that's because of Nerodium.
Some new element they've invented.
Yeah, a new fucking stupid element. That I understand what its intentions. I just think it's very stupid. Its intention is that it affects pure Kryptonians and kind of like triggers their like fight or flight response and makes them aggressive.
Yes,
which is they could just use red kryptonite.
They didn't have to invent a new thing. It's also like they had to have a reason to be like, okay, so it affects Kara, but it doesn't affect John because he's only half Kryptonian, and a lot of the reason he's using brain cells is because he's feeling that he needs to overcome his human half, and that he's not as good overcompensate that he's not as good as his father because he's only half Kryptonian, so he'll only ever be half as good as Superman. I'm like, okay, that makes sense thematically, even if it doesn't make sense in the story that we had to invent a new thing for it, a new device.
And maybe if they explain it a little bit more, I'd be okay with it, but the explanation here wasn't very good.
No, and again, it felt kind of like an ass pull, like we need a thing, we need to come up with it. I'm like, you just made up that word. And yes, I know this is comics and 90% of the words here are made up, but still.
Yeah, so obviously Superman and Supergirl fight, and during that fight, Brain Cells enacts his plan. This is his master plan because it's Brainiac, and you can never really trust a Brainiac.
Shockingly, Brain Cells is evil. I think Generation West had a fun thing in my comment section where it's like, yes, John thought he would start the whole Brainiac 5 being a good Brainiac thing early, but boy, did that bite him in the ass, though. They also say that it was Kara who killed Brainiac in their last fight, which is interesting. I'm like, okay, are they going to build on this in the Supergirl book? Because they also kind of seek to imply that Kara hates Trojan more than anyone.
Yeah, well, I think they are, because I know we're going to get how Superman, Clark Kent, left Earth and everything in his book, and that's going to feed into this, which really it should have come out before.
Yeah.
But I can see what they're doing. I can see what they're doing. I imagine we will in that Supergirl book get hints at Trojan, and much like how all of the Batman books have stuff to do with the Magistrate. That's the Superman books Magistrate.
I do appreciate that all these Future State books, all the cities are fucked up, but fucked up in completely different, non-related ways. If it was all one related thing, I'd be like, oh, come on. No. In the future, we all fucked ourselves up in completely different ways.
Yeah.
Which, man, you want to talk about the future. What are the problems on everyone's mind right now? Murderous paramilitary police forces, cybernetic companies run by evil dickheads, and I'm like, oh, man, this is all hitting a little too close to home, eh?
Well, yeah, it's topical, but also it's just out of future. Just in that future, we're not right there yet.
It's a few minutes in the future. Is what it is.
Yeah.
And the backups here are kind of interesting too, because they build on the idea of Metropolis being bottled. So we see the not scot-free Mr. Miracle, and also Guardian, the Morrison one, who we haven't seen in forever.
Yeah. So Shiloh Norman, the Mr. Miracle, he's as I said in my review, he's for all intents and purposes the strongest hero in the bottled Metropolis, unless there's someone else in there. He's the most powerful. He's got these mother box, which is malfunctioning and losing power. So he's trying his best to sort of keep the peace and find a way out of the barrier, because they don't know they're in a bottle. They just know there's a barrier.
Yeah.
And because of that, I'm guessing Brain Cells sends robots after him.
Yeah.
To kill him, because he is the strongest and poses a threat. And
which we've seen Brainiac do before with people who try and escape his bottles.
Yeah, it's just him fighting a bunch of robots. It's pretty simple, and I appreciate it for being that simple.
Yeah, that's all you need. See how people are reacting. Same with Guardian, with no Superman in the city. It's Jimmy Olsen who actually goes to him about trying to help people out and fight the good fight. And I love slightly older Beard Jimmy.
Yeah. Still, he's slightly older. He's got the beard, but he's still very much Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah, I like that a whole lot. I thought that one was nice, and it's Guardian fighting a villain, and they kind of got a speed thing with him driving an ambulance that's about to explode.
Yeah, the villain Honest Mary, who was inciting riots all over the city because people want out, and there's great images of people being crushed against the side of the barrier, and it's just everything's gone to shit because there's food's running out, water's going bad, and all this sort of stuff Superman never even thought of.
No. And also too, stuff I'm sure they didn't mean to end up being as topical as it is. We want out of the bottle, we're done with the bottle. Guys, we can't do anything about the bottle. We just all have to sit here and not kill each other, do whatever you want. Okay, you're doing it anyway, fuck. God damn it. You deserve to be crushed by the bottle. But yeah, so those were fun, and I guess in the next issue we'll see more adventures under the bottle.
Oh yeah. These two are going to be continued. It's weird. This book is getting 2 issues. The Batman's getting 3. I think is Harley Quinn getting 3 or 2. I can't remember.
I
like
think
some
she's
of them
also
getting 2 or 3. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. Which again makes me think that these were just all the books that were done.
Yeah.
For 5G, whatever it was, where it's like, what do we got? Okay, put them together. I guess the third Future State book we had was Wonder Woman, and boy, the reaction to this one was shockingly positive. Like, I cannot believe how many people are so fucking in on Yara Flor.
It happens when you get like a good creator who's also the writer and artist, and just tell like a fantasy comedy.
It's a good design. Her design is really good and really inviting. It's a fresh start to Wonder Woman, free of any and all baggage, which I'm sure is exactly why they didn't do Cassie Sandsmark and why they didn't do Donna Troy. As much as you might love those characters, they carry a ton of baggage. And the fact that people know that this is going to be the new Wonder Woman on television and that they're going to be able to see her soon. Also, too, servicing the Latino community that basically never gets serviced in comics, despite the fact that they are such a huge population in North America. This is the first Latino woman ever to star and lead her own solo comic book at DC. Can you believe that?
Far out. That's cool, but also like a little disappointing.
Like,
it's taking this long.
Like, it took to 2021, and we're like, really, that hasn't happened? Like, because you're trying to think of like all these other characters. So it's like, no, well, what about Renee Montoya? Is the question? Nope, she got backups. She didn't get a full story to herself. She got backups in another book.
Yeah, it's very strange, but yeah, no, it's very good, and it's not just like that. They're getting represented as the main character. Like their like
culture
lore and like culture and history is like all over this book. And it's great.
There's so much Brazilian culture, and again, it's such a genius idea where it's like, okay, let's do a new Wonder Woman, but we're done with Greek mythology. This is a new Wonder Woman based in a completely brand new mythology that a lot of people don't know about. So yeah, we got the Amazon River, we got hydras, we got chaporas, those things.
Yeah, Kaiporas, Botadas, the flaming snakes.
Yeah, which literally, I had to look up a picture of them, and they look exactly like how the comic puts them. They ride little boars, and they're forest spirits that protect things. Apparently they smoke cigars in actual Brazilian artwork, and you can't smoke in comics, so that's why the little one makes the joke.
It makes the joke about smoking.
Yeah, it's like, I had to quit, so I'm a little on edge. And yeah, you're right about this one being a fantasy comedy, which again, Wonder Woman's never really been. A lot of her stories the last couple of years have been pretty serious. Thank you, Draco Vaster.
Thank you.
Always appreciated. Because Yara Flor is not a character from olden Greek times. She is from now, and you know that because she talks like a normal person.
Yeah, she's got a Pegasi called Jerry.
Love that. I love that joke. You could call it anything. You could call it Swiftwind, Silverwings, Jerry the Pegasus. Get over here. And Jerry's lazy.
Yeah.
Takes him off. Also, she's a sword fighter. She doesn't have the lasso. She has bolos, so she has a completely different weapon lineup.
Yeah, a cool weapon lineup. I love it.
She is a demigod, and they leave it open-ended to the fact that even she is not entirely sure who her father is. They imply it might be Zeus, but it might also be Chupa, which is basically the Brazilian Zeus equivalent thunder god.
Yeah. I like that they leave it open, but they also leave it to the fact that like, oh, she might be Themysciran as well, because like the whole plot is she kills a Hydra to take a horn to sort of give to Zeus as sort of an exchange for one of her Themysciran sisters. And I was not sure which sister it is. It could be Wonder Woman. She could think Wonder Woman is in hell.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I know Steve Orlando was talking about on Twitter that he had set up a lost tribe of Amazons in the Brazilian rainforest, so I'm assuming she's part of those, because again, who wouldn't want to tell a story about an Amazon who is literally from the Amazon?
Yeah.
Because that shit just writes itself. And yeah, the fact that it is this weird mismatched comedy, that it's her and her little buddy going to the underworld, and the underworld is like a shitty airport.
Yeah, like a shitty train station or bus depot or something where
Yeah.
they have like memberships, and you need like the platinum membership to get
Mm-hmm.
in, and you got to have like the ticket to get on the plane and whatnot.
And Yara just wants to fight, and her friend's like, no, we gotta do this stealthy. We gotta not let them know we're here. They're gonna sick Cerberus on us. And then, again, which makes sense, they don't know how Charon the Boatman works, because they're not Greek, and they don't know you need the 2 drachma for the eyes. And then they're like, oh, fuck, we don't have the money. Just fight your way out of it.
Yeah, just steal it off this sumo.
Yeah, who's that sumo just happened to be there waiting to take the boat, right? So yeah, this is a fun book, and it's a book you kind of learn while reading.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
This one I think also does a good job too of the getting thrown into the deep end, where that's part of it. You get thrown into the deep end so you can learn about this character while you read it without them having to stop and say, like, here's her origin.
And it's not even really a deep end. It's like a mild wade in, because like she doesn't have all that baggage that Wonder Woman had. Where it's like, oh, is she an actual Themyscira? Or is she created by clay? Or is she this? Is she that? She's no, none of that.
And I mean, I think a lot of Future State is very clearly meant to be a testing ground for new ideas and new multimedia projects.
Absolutely.
And I think with this, it's basically already like, yo, we're already getting behind new Wonder Woman because she's getting a fucking TV show.
I'm so glad that this first issue was good, because like a couple of weeks ago they're like, oh, she's going to be in Infinite Frontier and she's getting a TV show. I'm like, oh, you count your chickens before they hatched.
Oh.
But I'm kind of glad they did. Maybe they saw like internal like talk
Probably
about it or something.
Oh yeah, this definitely feels like they put time and work on this, where it's like, look, what is gonna help us, cast a big shadow in terms of multimedia? What can be our Miss Marvel thing, basically, that takes over culturally and services an audience that isn't normally being serviced on television or in comics for that matter. And I think they hit it, and it helps that Jolene Jones writes a good comic and draws a real pretty comic too.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely get me, definitely put me down as interested in this one, and is something that will probably be brought over into main continuity. Also, we're going to see her in Justice League, and we're going to see her in that Superman Wonder Woman book too, so she gets a couple books. I'm
excited to see her react to like these heroes, because this book is like, it's out in their Amazon. It's like the farthest away it can be from like Gotham or Metropolis or anything like that. So like, how is she going to react to all these other people?
She's also a little brash and a little acerbic, and they imply that she hasn't been a superhero for that long.
No. Yeah, she could be like the youngest of them.
Absolutely, yeah. It would be interesting to see where they go with that one. So definitely count us as Yara fans, which, hey, Yara literally means water lady. Water, Amazon, river. That makes sense. And floor just means flower, and like there's a lot of really beautiful, really powerful flowers in the Amazon. Some of which they think may be able to cure cancer one day. So there you go. We like you, Water Lady Flower. Somehow that name didn't take off. What do you want to talk about next, Matt?
We both had the Harley Quinn Future State.
Yes, I was sure to read this one before we started, and boy, am I glad I did. This one was surprisingly cool and big concept, like bigger concept than Harley usually gets.
It's Hannibal.
Yeah,
but with Harley Quinn, and it's great. It's great. I loved it.
It is, yeah. It remembers that, oh yeah, isn't she a psychologist? Shouldn't she use that more often in her stories? And they do. And her Will Graham basically turns out to be friggin' Jonathan Crane, who has reformed his scarecrow ways in a city without Batman, or at least without his Batman. And he's sold out to the magistrate and working for them, tracking down villains in their new crazy prison. That is not Arkham.
No, it's just like a prison, which looks a little bit nicer than Arkham.
Yeah, little futuristic. And he basically gives her a list of villains to psychologically profile so they can go arrest.
Yeah, give them the ideas of how to approach arresting them, which it's like, how has that not been done before?
I know.
How has that not been done?
It's such a no-brainer. It really is such a no-brainer. And a lot of these guys got really cool new redesigns, too. I love what they did with Firefly.
Yeah, he looks like an Iron Man villain now.
He does. He looks like a freaking Gundam. He looks like he should be fighting the Power Rangers. Garfield Lenzi was just watching too much anime. Everyone else gets cool gas masks, too. Professor Pig now has a gas mask.
Yeah, and he's a bit more terrifying than he's really ever been, because he's like that. He's like the first killer that they fight in Hannibal, where he's like taking people apart and making giant, like, weird, like, gross statues out of them and whatnot.
Yeah, which is exactly what he was in the Garth Ennis book when he Grant Morrison book when he first premiered. And I feel like every time they kept writing him, writers forgot what his gimmick was.
Yeah.
They're like, pigs, right? Like animal stuff. He's Professor Pig. No, actually, he's just a weird, gross serial killer who makes Daltrons and weird monsters and everything. And apparently the big kahuna, the one they're all after, the one they're building up to, is Black Mask.
Yeah, and it has me wondering, is this going to follow on from Suicide Squad? Because obviously
Maybe.
Harley has a bone to pick with Black Mask.
Yeah.
After killing Deadshot, and as well as all the other various heinous shit he did. So, like, is this going to, like, pick up that story? Is it even going to reference it?
I hope it does. Crane is similarly shell-shocked about Black Mask, and we don't know why.
Well, from what I understood, it's like he's tried to capture this guy multiple times, and somehow Roman just keeps slipping it, and it's like Crane's ego like is getting the better of him, where he had to go to Harley Quinn to ask her for help.
I also like we see his costume too, and it looks just like the video game one.
Yeah, it looks cool.
It is cool. Begs the question too: is Sionis even crazy?
Yeah, I don't think so, because in the little bit we get of him this issue, he's just like a mob boss.
Yeah, just a regular old crime boss who has used the chaos and the whole, like, anti-mask fever to, like, actually become a more prominent crime boss and basically, leasing out his image to everyone else.
Yeah, does he even have those, like, shape-shifting powers still?
I don't know. We'll have to see about that. That'll be interesting. Also, too, I'm reminded that the second Black Mask was actually, like, Amadeus Arkham, I'm pretty sure, or Unarkham. So I wonder if they're going to call back to that, where it's like, this might not even be Sionis, this might be the other guy.
It's very possible, because, yeah, everyone just seems to assume it's Roman.
Yeah, they don't say it for certain. He's got a cool costume, too. He's back to the white suit, but he's got, like, some gold cyber tech on him and everything, because it's the future.
Yeah, the art in this is really good. Simone DeMeo, he does a recent book, which is They Only Find Them When They're Dead.
Yeah.
It just looks really fucking cool.
From Hill House, yeah. And the lady who's writing this right now is also going to be writing Harley when it comes back. And I'm like, okay, if you've got kick-ass big ideas like this, I want to read your Harley book now. Yeah,
Stephanie Phillips, she's great. She wrote that really one great Superman book that I talked about recently, where Superman's with that cancer patient.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really want her to, like, transition this story over into what they're going to do in Infinite Frontier, because it's just so cool, and it's actually made, like, main canon Harley Quinn interesting.
Isn't it weird that Harley has, like, 3 really good stories going on right now between this, White Knight, and what Tynion is doing with her and Batman right now?
They finally they're putting good writers on her, but they're also finally realizing, hey, we can write interesting stories with this character.
Yeah, like, hey, if she's the 4th pillar, she doesn't have to exist solely to sell merchandise. We can actually make her complex and deep and interesting. You know what I think it is? I think they saw the cartoon and they're like, fuck, we're not even doing half as good as what this cartoon does. Shit, we better step up our game.
And I also think or at least some writers are aware that the movies aren't helping. They even make fun of it in here, where they talk about, like, how she tried to coin the term "Daddy's Little Monster," but it was unsuccessful.
The Maiden of Mischief, all her different names there. Daddy's Little Monster. I didn't copyright that one. Lost millions. That is fun. I do love when the comics dunk on the fucking movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Harley Quinn, way better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
It's fucking cool, actually. Real fucking cool. And I guess the last Future State book we had was Flash.
Yeah, we haven't read the Swamp Thing one, but I do plan on reading it tonight.
I skimmed through it. It looked interesting.
Yeah, the Flash one was pretty cool. Probably the darkest of the Future State books.
Shockingly dark. So dark that a lot of fans were upset with it.
Upset. And for the exact reason I knew, and the exact reason, like, they shouldn't be upset, because it's not what they're upset on isn't actually in the book.
No, I know. So this is a future where all the speedsters have seemingly lost their powers.
Yeah, all thanks to Wally West, who one day just kind of like turned and took their powers and killed Wallace.
Yeah.
Killed Wallace West when he attacked the Titans Academy, which I imagine we're going to see in that Titans Academy book. And then, for 5 years, I think it is, he's been running around the Earth, like, murdering people.
Yeah, because he's possessed by, what is it, the Horsemen of Famine.
Yeah, well, he's not possessed. He's been replaced, and that's what I want to stress to everyone here. It's not Wally West. He's been replaced.
Right.
And that's what no one seems to realize. They say it multiple times in the book.
They do. No,
and
they hate Wally, Matt. They're ruining him. They hate me and my joy, even though they literally explain why.
If they hate, I hate that argument, because if they hate Wally West so much, they just wouldn't use the character.
They wouldn't use him at all. There's plenty of characters that they just stop using.
Yeah.
Also, it's a weird future Elseworld. This isn't going to actually happen. Calm
possible
down.
future. In this world, thanks to that, like, Central City is like in complete disarray, much like Gotham and Metropolis. There's like riots and everything because people want the Flash freed and everything. Barry, he's still Barry. He's still got the hope that he can save Wally and everything, and him and the family have been doing everything they can to try and help him, which resorts to them they still heroes, but they use the rogues' weapons,
which is really cool as a concept.
To combat Checkmate, and who they think is the Thinker, but it's actually the Calculator.
Which is a really funny bit where it's like, I was already smart, and I used DeVoe's helmet to make me even smarter. Really, really clever concept, and like what a deep fucking cut too for characters, the Calculator and the Thinker.
Yeah, and the reason for this is that Barry wants to use the Thinker's cap to tap into Wally's frequency, because he thinks Wally's been trying to like contact them, and he uses one of the first flash facts that Wally learned, which is to stall for time until either the villain wears himself out or backup comes. And he thinks that Wally is doing that because why haven't they been killed yet?
Same tactic I use for podcasting: stall for time and hope backup will come, or the audience will just get tired.
So the family get on board with this, and they all put on their cool looking helmets and travel into the frequency that Wally is stuck on, and that's when we learn that Wally has indeed been replaced by Famine.
Yeah, which begs the question where it's like, wait, if this is Famine of the Horsemen of the Apocalypse, does that mean the apocalypse is coming to the DC universe? Where are the other Horsemen?
Yeah, what does Famine exactly want? Because Wally knows, but he isn't able to tell them, because as we learn, Famine wanted this to happen because he feeds off like their despair and hopelessness. And he ends up like killing Jay Garrick as well. Yeah, which I didn't think the two. Oh, before that actually, Impulse dies as well.
Yes,
in their attack on Calculator.
So yeah, they keep losing people.
Yeah, they keep losing people. I actually thought that was actually quite cool. They went there. They actually killed these characters off.
Yeah, because again, it's a possible future, because they're all going to just put it back later.
Yeah, you can do that.
You can do that. You can get away with that. This is what's fun about these Elseworld stories. Again, this is why we have an Omniverse, people.
Yeah, and seeing that makes Barry realize that Wally might be beyond saving. So yeah, he's going to get all the rogues' weapons out and go fight him.
Yeah, he's going to have to go hunt his friend, adopted son, all this other stuff. And it's like, yeah, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, I liked all that stuff with like family and whatnot in this, and how like Barry sees himself as like Wally's father.
Yeah,
he really is. He had to step into that father role, and this is like him coming to terms with like, no, my son is something else now, and I've got to deal with that.
Yeah, makes it all the much sadder and more tragic and everything, which you don't get a lot of Flash stories like this. This is usually the stuff reserved for like Batman. This feels like a Batman story, but it's like, let's have Flash have fun for once.
Yeah, and as we said, it's the darkest of the Future State books, which is really surprising. Yeah,
I would not have guessed the Flash book to be the darkest of them. Like, the other ones are weirdly hopeful. Like, the world is fucked, but the characters are hopeful. Because it's just life for them. They don't know anything else. But here it's like, stuff wasn't as bad in Central City, but now it is. Yeah. So yeah, Future State, pretty exciting, I gotta say. All the books were pretty well done and interesting. And again, no Batman Who Laughs to distract me. Everything felt new and fresh and interesting.
What you learned is he's the mastermind behind he's the magistrate.
God damn it, if that's he spins around in the chair. It was me, Batman Who Laughs. Fuck off.
I would give the book an instant 10 out of 10 just because I know it would piss so many people off.
Me being one of them. But yes, I like that things feel fresh and interesting at DC right now where they haven't for like a couple months.
Yeah, it's cool. And I'm intrigued to see how they're going to transition over to Infinite Frontier because even that feels like quite fresh. And
absolutely. All right, now we're almost at 2 hours, so very quickly, High Republic. I read it too, but go.
Yeah, no, High Republic. Yeah, this was a great sort of. It's not the first thing in the High Republic thing because there's that book that I'm currently reading. That's sort of the first opener to this, but this is set after the Great Disaster, and we get our Jedi character Trennis, Creve Trennis.
Who's, she likes to swear.
Yeah, yes, she does. Was it Crink?
Chris?
Yeah, something like weird swear words, weird Star Wars swear word. Carabast or something. Yeah.
Carabast. I do love the idea of a Jedi who swears because we've never really got that before.
She's going through her trials with her one-armed Trandoshan master,
who is super fucking cool.
Who's in that Light of the Jedi book? I'm pretty sure he loses his arm in that book.
There you go.
To
Multimedia.
To the Nihil. She's training and we see her go through her training and she has to stop these giant space locusts which are heading to the Starlight Beacon because Starlight Beacon is getting ready to be set up because it's going to be like the like a way station for like people heading to the Outer Rim and the New Frontier and whatnot. And it's putting out a frequency that's disrupting these space locusts like path through the universe.
Okay, is that what happened? I'll admit I read it quickly, but I was having a hard time following some of this.
Yeah. When she like Vulcan mind melded with the space locust, she learned that they follow the star in the next system's frequency, and the Starlight Beacon disrupted that, and they went to that instead.
So it's like moths to a big flame, basically.
Yeah. Space moths to a big space flame.
Okay, I dig that. And obviously, this was also maybe part of a bigger test put forth to her by the Force. So, like, she thought she thought she failed, she thought she fucked up and everything, but no, actually, who was that? Is that like the Grand Jedi or like who's the
Avan Chris, the Marshal of the Starlight Beacon?
Okay, who is also a Jedi, so you can be a Jedi and a Marshal.
Yeah, well, she's Marshall is basically she's like the person who runs the Starlight Beacon. Okay,
because she talked about the Republic too. It's like, for the Republic and the Jedi. I'm like, well, wait, I thought those were two separate bodies, but you represent both. Okay.
Yeah. And she ends up becoming a Jedi Knight at the end of the issue, and her master is deeply upset that he got passed over for the role of Marshal.
Okay, yeah. Is that why he was mad too? I didn't quite put that together myself. I knew he was mad about something.
Yeah, he's mad about that. I think as well as like there's some other stuff that I think gets revealed in the novel because he's like hiding something, and it's obvious he's going to turn to like the dark side.
Yeah, there's a lot very sinister about the fact that his lightsaber looks like a machete.
Yeah, his lightsaber looks cool.
And then he's a Trandoshan. Not to say all Trandoshans are evil, but most of the Trandoshans we know are pretty evil in Star Wars. He's sick as fuck though, his design.
Yeah, I like as well in this issue we get like the Star Wars equivalents to the fairies from like Zelda.
Oh my god,
like,
yes.
Following around going, hey, listen. and like Keeve is just like sick of it.
She has no time for these little guys.
But she still saves them.
Yeah. Because that's what heroes do.
That's what I really loved about this issue, the complete difference between this era of the Jedi compared to like the holier than thou, arrogant prequel era. These Jedi are like a bit more laid back. They swear. They have their robes aren't all the same. They have like different robes that like sort of fit their personality.
Yes, you know what it is. It's less samurai, more cowboy.
Yeah. And we got Yoda.
Yeah, we get young Yoda there too, which is like how old would he be here? Yeah, how young? He's got hair.
He'd be like about 600. I know there is an actual. age for him, but I think it's about 600-ish.
Yeah, and we meet the current Grand Master of the Jedi Order at that time, who I'm assuming is Yoda's master.
Yes, and I'm pretty sure that guy is actually still alive during the prequel era. I'm fairly certain, because I know there was some that actually are still alive during the prequel era, including Yoda.
What does Jedi retirement look like? I like this.
Put out on like an ice float or something. I don't know.
They give you a watch. I do like this comic had like a timeline where it's like, here's the movies and the TV shows and the cartoons all in a single line. I'm like, that's nice.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a cool world, but like you said, I feel like I'd probably appreciate this more if I actually read the novel.
Yeah, I got the audiobook. I've been listening to an audiobook, but I've got a physical copy coming, which was actually signed by Charles Soule.
Nice. I want to pick up the audiobook when I heard there's an audiobook. I'm like, oh fuck yeah, give me the audiobook.
Well, this isn't me shilling because we're not got a sponsor, but if you start an Audible trial, you can actually get the book for free.
Man, I really wish we got that Audible sponsorship, because that is the best queue up we could have for get the Audible app. Fuck me. You know what? I'm going to write Audible when we're done here, because I think they give it to anyone who asks. So fuck it. We're going to do that when I'm done.
It's free. You can if you do your trial, you get it for free. That's what I did, and I've been listening to it, and it's great. The guy who does it, Mark Thompson, I think is his name. He does like most of the Star Wars stuff, and it's fantastic. He puts on voices, and there's like special effects and whatnot. Nice. So it's great.
That sounds good. Oh, hey, speaking of sponsorships, we're not sponsored by anyone except for all the amazing patrons out there. We got a bunch of new people this month. I know your names, and if you know who you are, thank you. I think I rejiggered the Amazon thing. People from America, who was like 90% of our audience, couldn't use it because I signed up for the Canadian one. People, please try this new one now and tell me if it works. Because unless you buy something, I don't know. But yeah, I guess with that, we can finally bring this show to a close. God damn, man, we talked for like basically 2 hours.
Yeah, lot to talk about comic-wise for once. Yeah. We're living up to our name.
I know, we really are. Do people want longer shows? Is that what people want? Is that what's going to get people interested in back?
I think they do. Like last week, we cracked 2 hours, I think, and people really like that show. Like live, we got quite a few people in.
I checked the analytics there. Apparently, people usually listen to about 17 minutes before clicking off and doing something else.
That's like literally every video, though.
I know. 17 minutes. Apparently, people only have enough patience for 17 minutes, which, hey, considering that the first ad usually comes up 15 minutes in these big, long videos, the fact that you heard an ad and then still listen for like 2 minutes more means a lot to me. So, all right. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. We really appreciate it. We're going to be back again next week again. Get excited. We got an interview, hopefully coming down the pipeline with Jim Zub. He's going to be coming back. He's going to be talking about Conan, which is going to be starting up real soon. Hey, actually, this will be fun. On Twitter and shit, if you have a question for Jim Zub that you want answered, tweet it to me, and I'll see if I can't get that to him. I'm going to be recording that on this coming Saturday sometime, and if you're listening to this on YouTube, it drops Wednesday, so you still got time.
Awesome.
So there you go, everyone. Thank you so much for watching and listening. We really appreciate it, and we'll be back again next time, won't we, Matt?
Yes, we will. Thank you, everyone.
All right, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.